Why doesn't anyone understand that general election is not relevant? We need to regain our sovereignty, to take back control. If they worked for 45 years, British old age pensioners get a total yearly benefit of £6,000. Illegal immigrants, refugees living in Britain, get a total yearly benefit of £29,900. The average pensioner has paid taxes and contributed to the growth of the UK for the last 40 to 60 years. Sad, isn't it? Got the guts to repost this? I just did. Bloody disgusting. They don't tell you about the cure because disease is too profitable. Don't care bears, get high bear. All governments lie about everything, and you are programmed not to question anything and to hate those who do. Michigan mother jailed for refusing to vaccinate her son. A free society, my arse. A mother in the US state of Michigan has been sentenced to 7 days in jail after she refused a judge's order to have her son vaccinated. Rebecca Bredow would not let her 9-year-old be immunised after initially agreeing with the father to do so. Her ex-husband has now been awarded temporary primary custody in order to get the job. Jesus. Michigan parents are legally allowed to skip or delay their child's vaccinations due to personal beliefs, but Bredow fell foul of the law because she reneged on agreements with her former spouse dating back to November 2016 to have the boy immunised. They're killing the children. They are going after the kids. If we don't stand up, then we're going to get everything we deserve. Robot judges will pass sentence with no human bias in all AI courts. Increasing use of AI in legal system points to the way to an all-robot courtroom. Now just let that sink in for a moment. That means all the judges are going to be out of a job. So that's a good thing. However, it's who programs these AI robot judges, because they all do whatever they want and they have no remorse, no care, nothing. It's likely that most people locked in our jails believe that with a better lawyer or more lenient judge or a more understanding jury, things might have been very different for them. Human error, they will say, is to blame for them being banged up. But can the human element be removed? Law firms are already using computer algorithms to perform background research, other tasks traditionally performed by human staff, and that's just the beginning. As computer researchers get closer to creating true artificial intelligence, it's predicted to eliminate most paralegal and legal research positions within the next decade. And this is really good news. Let's just hope it works. This was November 21st, 2019. Israel's Attorney General indicts Prime Minister Netanyahu on corruption charges. Jerusalem. Israel's Attorney General indicted Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on corruption charges on November 21st this year, highlighting uncertainty over who will ultimately lead a country mired in political chaos after 2 inconclusive elections this year. Attorney General Avishai Mandelblit announced the decision, the first of its kind against a serving Israel Prime Minister, in a statement and said the charges included bribery, breach of trust and fraud. Netanyahu, who denied wrongdoing, yeah, well he would, wouldn't he, in 3 corruption cases, is under no legal obligation to resign after being charged. He was due to make a statement at 8:30 GMT. Police recommended in February that Mandelblit file criminal charges against the Prime Minister in the long-running investigation dubbed cases 1000, 2000 and 4000. Netanyahu is suspected of wrongfully accepting $264,000 worth of gifts, which prosecutors said included cigars and champagne from tycoons and off dispensing favours in alleged bids for improved coverage by Israel's biggest selling newspaper, Yodith Ahoroth, and the Walla website. Israel's longest serving premier could face up to 10 years in prison if convicted of bribery and maximum 3 years term for fraud and breach of trust. What would you do if soldiers dragged your son out of bed in the middle of the night? After more than half a century of occupation, most Israelis can no longer imagine themselves in the place of the Palestinians. But if we cannot imagine what it is like to live under occupation, we must at least confront its brutal reality. 20 years ago, in March 98, the head of the Labour Party, Uhad Barak, was asked by Haaretz journalist Gideon Levy what he would do when a young Palestinian living under occupation. If I were a Palestinian on the right age, I would at some point join one of the terrorist groups, Barak answered. Today, not only is it difficult to imagine a Jewish Israeli politician making a similar statement, the question itself sounds imaginary. Can we imagine ourselves and as Palestinians? What a strange idea. If there is one thing 50 years of brutal military rule over another people has seared into the Israeli consciousness, it is that there is one law for us and another for Palestinians, just like in this country where there's one rule for the rich and another for the poor. That our destinies as human beings were meant to be different. When you consistently and systematically abuse the other for decades, this separation of consciousness becomes a kind of survival mechanism. The fact that we cannot imagine ourselves in the place of those living in Gaza, for example, subject to a siege that forces one to live in a life of suffering and extreme poverty, allows us to carry on without pangs of guilt. This car is powered by seawater. 920 HP, top speed 217.5 miles per hour, 373 miles to a tank. When claims being made aren't exaggerated and the mainstream is reporting on the tech, then there is no denying this car functions just like a hydrogen fuel cell, except the substract liquid functioning as a holder and of energy is salt water. Now, I've known about cars being able to travel on water for a long time. I even had a hydrogen fuel cell in my car, which gave me double mileage. They're £700, and if you want to find out more, go to waterboost.co.uk. Although this doesn't sound very far off from being the water-powered car, something that people believe to be a variety of things, from a genuine conspiracy to a fraud, this is something different. With a vehicle like this one, salt water, a liquid passes between a membrane lying between two tanks, effectively generating an electrical charge and the vehicle to produce energy. Then the electricity produced with the salt water is stored by the supercapacitors and distributed to where it needs to go. Royal Navy amputee stranded with £16 universal credit told get a job by DWP. Only 3 weeks after Kevin Barnes, 62, had his leg amputated, the Department for Work and Pensions has said he must prove that he wants to return to work to receive £16 a month. A Royal Navy amputee awarded just £16 a month on universal credit claims he has been told to get a job by the Department of Work and Pensions. Kevin Barnes, 62, said he has been living a nightmare after being hospitalised and having his leg amputated 2.5 weeks ago, when surgeons thought it best to remove the leg damaged by circulatory problems. Mr. Barnes from Plymouth, Devon, said that the DWP left him with unable to support himself financially after they approved just £16 a month. He was later lumped in the category of job seekers who must prove they are serious about returning to work. This is an utter disgrace, and universal credit is nothing more than a further attack on the poor. Angry reaction to dawn raid that evicted anti-fracking campaigners and their cats from their camp near Preston New Road drill site. Remember, the government said they were going to stop it and then they lied? Well, we're not shocked, are we? Anti-fracking campaigners have said they will continue their fight against shale gas despite the eviction of protesters from the camp on land near the Lancashire drill site. In a dawn swoop on Tuesday, specialist eviction firm Able Enforcements and Bristol said it had removed a dozen squatters from the protest camp on private land near off Preston New Road near Little Plumpton on Tuesday. It said illegal trespassers and fears of contamination, bullshit, of the land prompted a local business to call the firm on the site after the protesters repeatedly refused requests to leave. A team of more than 30 officers from Able Enforcement, bailiffs, security guards and dog handlers joined with Special Group International specialists in removing protesters from trees to execute the eviction at daybreak. Of course, there was no warrant either. But then again, that's what you expect these days. That's all you see. No class. Vile moment. Perv teacher takes secret upskirt pics of schoolgirls in the middle of lesson. This is November 18th, 2019. This is the sickening moment a high school teacher in Ecuador was caught on film apparently taking upskirt photos of teenagers in his class. Education bosses in Los Rios revealed the unnamed tutor and has been suspended pending a top-level investigation into claims of sexual harassment. The elite controllers fear the individual and individual intelligence. This once great country of America has been through many changes in these changes, while implemented by the design of its true rulers and not understood by the huddled masses that have been taught to accept mediocrity as desired normalcy. The ruling class fully understand that the only way to control people and to finally control the world is to stifle individual excellence by creating a society that refuses to think. This has been accomplished through planned conflict, the installation of fear, the total control of education by the puppet state, by building dependence through public welfare, and by dominating most of all positions of power in a myriad of state, corporate and important intellectual appointments. They rule us via fear and keeping us dumb. White helmets involved in forcible removal of human organs in Syria, Syrians in terrorist-controlled areas, study finds. Moscow, ST. A new study by Maxim Grigoriev, director of the Russian Foundation for the Study of Democracy, has provided new evidence about the criminal activities of so-called White Helmets terror group in Syria, proving its involvement in human organ trafficking. In his study entitled The White Helmets Organization, Terrorist Accomplices and a Source of Disinformation, Grigoriev said that members of their terror group are involved in the forcible removal of human organs of Syrians who lived in areas that were controlled by terrorists. The White Helmets are the terrorists, of course. The White Helmets were a key element in this illegal scheme of organ removal, Grigoriev added, pointing out that he had got information about these incidents from the people who he interviewed. According to Eitar TASS, Grigoriev and his colleagues recorded over 100 interviews, not only with residents of Aleppo, Damascus, Douma and others. Muslim rape gangs, Home Office knew because BNP told them. An independent review into the handling of the ongoing Muslim rape gangs terror by Rotherham authorities has revealed that the Home Office knew of the horrors taking place 16 years ago, 12 years before the J report. The review also proved that South Yorkshire Police and local authorities were complicit in the racially motivated sex attacks on our young white girls by covering them up. The harrowing confirmation of the full extent of the betrayal of the British people from the highest level of the British government is no surprise to the BNP because we told them of the Islamist rape gangs. For decades, the late BNP super activist Marlene Guest worked with the victims, continuously blew the whistle and compiled so much evidence that even the vile political... Well, we know. Theresa May and Amber Rudd suppresses Westminster child abuse documents for national security reasons. Nothing to do with national security. It's protecting the paedophiles that run this country. Breaking, Labour MP Lisa Nandy just revealed in Parliament the embarrassing inconsistencies between Prime Minister Theresa May and Home Secretary at the time Amber Rudd over documents being hidden from the inquiry into alleged allegations of child abuse by MP Cyril Smith. The Home Secretary told me that some papers would be withheld from the Cyril Smith inquiry. Breaking, Labour MP Lisa Nandy just revealed in Parliament the embarrassing and inconsistencies between Prime Minister Theresa May and Home Secretary Amber Rudd over documents being hidden from the inquiry into allegations of child sexual abuse by MP Cyril Smith. The Home Secretary told me that some papers would be withheld from the Cyril Smith inquiry for national security reasons. We need to get rid of this national security bullshit. Nandy told the House of Commons, yet she added, this week the Prime Minister has written to me to say we are clear that the work of the security service will not prevent information being shared with other such inquiries. And she challenged Amber Rudd to confirm for the survivors of Cyril Smith, who have waited for decades for justice, whether papers of historic allegations of child abuse against Smith will be withheld for inquiries for reasons of national security. If that doesn't let you know that we are run by paedophiles for paedophiles, and that's how they keep control. Telegraph. Corbyn would refuse to back his own deal in Brexit vote. Meghan left aghast by Duke of York's description of sex as positive act for men. The Guardian. Corbyn neutral on Brexit as PM attacked on trust. Artificial light blamed for insect apocalypse. Duke of Nothing. Prince Andrew finally stands down from entrepreneur role at Palace after trying to cling to despite corrupt backlash. Controversy over estimated entitlement to 2% cut from startups. Brother intervenes to block work linked to Bahrain. Reluctant Duke contemplates early retirement at 59. His accuser will reveal details about her time with Epstein in BBC Panorama interview next Monday, 2nd of December. It'll be a bullshit thing because it's by the BBC, who protect the royals all the time and paedophiles we know of. Corbyn reveals his Brexit stance neutral. Express. Queen rides out royal storm with Andrew as he's forced to quit Palace. Health Secretary pledged to double spending on research. Cure for dementia closer with 1.6 billion cash boost. I'm sick of all these big amounts of money that they say they're going to throw at things, because it just goes in the pockets of those at the top. It never goes where it's supposed to. I mean, that 1.6 billion, that could get everyone off the streets and stop the poverty in this country. But it won't, because we're run by a bunch of satanic paedophiles. Why my wife hates dancing with me. Daily Fail. Doctors vote to kill off traditional role, so many rely on end of GP home visit. Now Andrew's team pitched out of Palace. When's he going to face jail for his paedophilia? Waste of paper. Kelly hits 40. Managed tout Rodders. This time next year he'll be a millionaire. Fans furious at £375 charity pics with Del Boy. The Scum. Girls Jungle Revenge. Cheryl plot to make Nadine eat birds bits. Go Nads. What's a shitty paper that is. Another one I don't know why anyone wasted money on. The Times. Corbyn neutral on Brexit. Labour leader tells TV audience he won't campaign over Brexit political issue in generations. Can February March? No, but April May. What do squirrels give each other on Valentine's Day? Forget-me-nuts. Do you want to hear a joke about pizza? Never mind, it's too cheesy.